Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of the East Elgin Community Complex Board on Wednesday, October 8th. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:04. Okay, before we proceed with the agenda, reminders and talk about how the meeting should unfold. So one with members of the public and the community who are here to attend this meeting. We do not have a speaker system or any microphone or amplification, so I will ask all members of the board to speak loudly and also for delegations when you come to the podium. So first reminder. You probably noticed we do have a full agenda, and so we'll make sure we move things along. And one of the items on the agenda is, in fact, a discussion around the relocation of the Elmer branch at the complex. And I appreciate that there's a lot of passion on that topic and a lot of thoughtful opinions, and so that's really appreciated because we always want the community to be involved and engaged in decisions, so that's appreciated. But I do want to then manage expectations as far as this meeting and this board. So as far as the library is concerned, this item, that topic is on the agenda for the board because the board has received correspondence from the county asking for a decision and a commitment or to express some form of commitment. So there is a decision, a response that needs to be decided upon to be sent back to the county. So for that item, we invited Brian Michelli to come and give a presentation to help the board catch up with everything that's happened since as a board, we sent correspondence to the county. So that presentation will help us make that decision and decide on that correspondence we want to send during that presentation, or after that presentation, I should say. I'll invite members of the board to ask questions of Brian and seek clarifications. We'll consider a motion and then make a decision. Before that, we will receive delegations. So since the agenda was made public, the members of the public who have expressed interest in coming before the board to share their opinions. So we'll gladly receive that. But again, just to manage expectations, those delegations are an opportunity. It's a form of correspondence, really, just delivered live to the board. So we won't engage. So we will receive that information. We can obviously use that information to form an opinion, but those delegations are not meant to be for the board to engage with the presenter. So we will receive those and then move on to presentation. So that's how the procedure will unfold. I want to remind, according to our bylaws, the delegations a maximum of 15 minutes. You don't have to use the full 15 minutes. We have a full agenda, so I encourage you to be succinct and be under 15 minutes if you can. And also want to remind then all members, just because we all wear different hats. You hear me say that many times in different contexts, but so tonight we are sitting as members of the board of the ECC. Our role is to look after the best interest of this facility so that it remains a viable facility that serves the needs of our community. So we're not representing the county's interests. They will debate their own decision, and each municipality, member municipality, Malahide, Elmer, will also have their own debate with their respective council. if there are decisions, financial decisions in particular, to be made. Okay, so tonight, the decision will be in the best interest of the EECC. Okay, so that should take care and hopefully clarify expectations. Based on the presentation and the content that's been made available, I suspect that, again, to manage expectations, and maybe a spoiler alert, that I don't think the intent this evening is to decide on the definitive fate of the library. Based on the presentation is to see if we want to continue to have the conversation. So I think the biggest excitement will be more on Sportsnet than in New York rather than in this room tonight. So let's start with the confirmation of the agenda. Do you want to mention the addition?
So that the board adopts the agenda for the meeting of October 8th, 2025, with the additions of the following. Cynthia Grant delegating regarding the Elmer branch of the Elgin County Library, and correspondence from Stephen Dock regarding the Elmer branch of the Elgin County Library, and then an additional staff report report EECC 1621. It's tender award for the East Elgin Community Complex metal roof repairs.
Okay. Any other changes or additions to the agenda? Seeing none, so I have a mover and second, Member Barber, and seconded by Member Barber. All those in favor? The motion is carried. Next is declaration of pecuniary interest. Seeing none. So let's proceed with the delegations. The first delegation is Mr. Blaine.
Good evening, my name is Peter Blaine, I'm a resident of Elmer. Through the chair, I've asked to address the members of the East Elgin Community Complex Board. Retired from the Thames Valley District School Board in 2009, I've made Elmer my adoptive home, where I've served with the Elmer Performing Arts Council, Ontario Arts Council, Fair Board, Optimus Club, Community Theatre, the Elmer 150th Committee. Since 1988, I've also supported local arts and the library as a resident of the Old Town Hall Theatre. I want to address council as both a longtime resident and someone who has watched or witnessed the Elmer Library's evolution at the Old Town Hall since 1982, when the library was first located there. Space limitations have always been a constant issue. Over the years, I've worked with library staff on programs ranging from children's reading initiatives to quilt shows. I've seen firsthand how the need for more space impacted the library. What must be stressed is this: Elgin County provides a library service while the town of Elmer is responsible for the space. Yet council is considering millions in spending without full partnership from the county, the very organization mandated to deliver library services. Elmer has already seen 3 rejected proposals from the county, and proceeding alone risks wasting local tax dollars. The proposed addition is costlier than the 2014 plan that was turned down at a time when the Old Town Hall itself requires $2 million in scheduled renovations by 2028. Hidden costs, aging systems, heritage compliance will drive totals even higher. And the reality is federal provincial funding priorities have shifted. As seen with the Ingersoll denied request. Grants are now directed almost exclusively towards infrastructure, healthcare, housing, leaving little room for cultural projects like this. Spending millions without county support at a time when families are already struggling with rising taxes and living costs sends the wrong message. Council has already spent $250,000 on plans that may never materialize. The responsible path is to work together with Elgin County to develop a sustainable plan that matches actual service delivery and invest in infrastructure priorities that meet the needs rather than chasing another costly band-aid. In conclusion, I'm speaking to you tonight as a supporter of moving the Elmer branch of the Elgin County Library to the East Elgin Community Complex. This solution respects the fact that Elgin County provides a library service, while the town of Elmer and Township of Malahide provides the space. By working with the county, we can ensure that any investment aligns with their long-term service strategy, avoids costly duplication, and delivers real value to residents. I'm going to leave you with two final notes to think about. The town of Elmer has had a multitude of years to make a decision on this matter, yet clear direction has never been reached. While I remain doubtful, this attempt will succeed where others have not. I truly hope the discussion leads to a practical and lasting outcome. Consider yourself fortunate to have the opportunity to make that decision. This is no longer a situation where it's about supplementing the finances of the East Elgin Community Complex. This is about the Elmer branch of the Elgin County Library providing a service to Elmer and Malahide in a timely fashion. I would like to know just how much longer you can hold the Elmer Library for ransom while you make that decision. We also must face reality. Governments are changing their priorities, and just because we want a new library doesn't mean we'll get the funding, especially when an existing facility already meets the need. Look what's happened around you. Ingersoll, after 6 years of planning a $38 million recreation center, they were denied $10 million in provincial funding. The mayor called it extremely disappointing, but the project simply didn't qualify. Meanwhile, a new industrial park did receive funding. Contrast says it all. Priorities have shifted. We need to keep that in mind before committing to a new downtown library. These aren't options, they're facts. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. So may I have a resolution to receive the delegation?
That the delegation from Peter Blaine regarding the Elmer branch of the Elgin County Library be received this information.
Mover and seconder, member Serna moves, member DeRosa seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Next we have Kirk Barnes. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. It's great to see such a good crowd. I mean, you put in a new parking lot, everybody wants to use it on the first week. I thought that was more of a factor in the attendance than the library issue. I could be wrong. I will try to be as brief as I can. I know people want to get home and watch the Blue Jays game, and so do I, but I'm a Yankees fan. And if I'm being a Yankees fan, the Blue Jays has pitched that well last night. If I'm being a Yankees fan, is like being on the library committee I'm with. You need a lot of patience. I mean, it was in 1-12, nothing 6-1, but patience hopefully is something we have. So I represent the Dales group downtown, Elmer Library expansion. We have been around for a dozen years with this project, and the project has been in discussion for twice as long as that. And yes, we're a special interest group, but we have a special interest in seeing this job done well. And I want to just quickly remind the board of a need to see the bigger picture and the whole picture as we move along with any kind of project here. So quick review, and bear with me, some of these things I had noted previously, and some are new items as well. We came to Elmer Council a year ago and thought it was time to consider a library expansion again. We've been sitting idle for a bit. And we were glad to get a note from Elmer Council that they were willing to go ahead with this, and they were going to approach Elgin County in a partnership to expand the library. Good. Then in November at a board meeting here, Suddenly the board indicated, the EECC board indicated that they wanted to jump in on the debate and have talk about the library coming here reconsidered. And we spoke at that meeting and reminded the board that this had been discussed at length in 2017. And at that particular time, there was a 1,400 signed petition, for the most part, local residents that opposed that. There was a community meeting that opposed that. And there were a number of issues with that particular plan, but so be it. The board went ahead and sent their message to Elgin County. And we would suggest that with all respect to what Brian has done in his reports, because we've worked with Brian in trying to make some progress with expansion for a number of years. Our feeling would be that Elgin County has been interested in getting something done with the plan to get it here. And sure, they've been waiting for a long time, but contrary to what the warden is saying in his letter that you will see later, we don't believe that this is going to enhance library service at all. The move to come here would be impulsive with a host of issues and not something that Elmer and Malahide residents want or deserve. So let me just review quickly a couple of key issues that we see as part of the bigger picture. Things that you are not going to see in the Elgin Library report. Elmer Council has made a decision to go ahead with expansion downtown. That to us is a very key decision, and not only that, they're going to include some theater expansion in that, which is also I think something that is crucial for Elmer too. So Elmer has made finally, after a number of years, a decision to put the library in downtown. Another public meeting in the spring also indicated strongly that the people were in favor of a library. So that happened, sponsored by the Elmer Express. People, I think, they're also wanted to indicate that they wanted to support the Elmer BIA and having a strong downtown. Research we have done, and tuning our board in a little bit, we've been involved in this for a number of years, as I say, and we've done a fair amount of research, and our research would indicate that similar sized towns do not put their libraries on the periphery. They also don't give up their auditorium for such a project. As well, we have done research with similar sized towns, and they have an adequate size. So if you looked at what other places have done, Strathroy, St. Mary's, Ingersoll in the past, Goderich, Port Dover, Delhi, if you're looking at any similar sized town, they have put in a central library with an adequate size, and we wouldn't get that here. The location is a deterrent, and we've been through that before. We think it's too far. It's dangerous for school children, seniors. It's just too distant. It has a number, as I say, of even with the size of the parking lot too. Just some concerns about use of that for various groups. People have indicated that, oh, well, residential growth is occurring in this part of town, but sure, there's going to be some Willow Drive, there's going to be some Rogers Road perhaps down the road, but if you look around, you can see that there's residential growth in all parts of town. So again, a central location is part of having a good library. To us, insufficient space here. And a previous study in 2017 had some concerns about that space. And so are you going to get what has been recommended for this size of town? And we're looking at perhaps 12,000 square feet, but the Ruffalo Group would say that, that's Elmer is in need of something more than that. Well, even at 12,000 square feet, are we going to see that as adequate space in this particular site? No. Is there a revenue advantage? Well, you are going to lose $40,000 in recreational programming or special events at the benefit of $160,000 income coming in from Elgin County. But what is really the cost of that? At what cost? You lose your recreational programming and your special events. I thought we just town just hired a manager to promote that programming. I thought the town just got a grant for seniors to promote that programming. So why are we injuring that particular progress by taking over the space that would be required for that? To say nothing about the issues involved with isn't there a warning center and the sponsors whose names are downstairs outside the auditorium did not put their names on that building to house the library. So, again, with respect to with respect for and what Peter Blaine has said here, sure, there are some considerations to be made with both here and downtown. Some it's not clear cut one way or the other, but hopefully the people who are making the planning for downtown are not going to affect or have no intention of affecting struggling families. If other towns and most other towns, as I say, that we researched, have been able to fund their libraries in the past 12 years without any significant tax increase, and if they've been able to do it, why has Elmer been denying that particular service for some time? It's more important that struggling families get the benefit of what a good library can do in your community. And let's trust Elmer and Malahide to do it at a reasonable cost with fundraising and various grants and whatever. Not something that's going to be a tax burden for them, but something that's going to be a good investment for young families down the road. This is a period of some major growth coming out for the community. And Elmer and Malahide both need to stay on top of what's coming by planning good recreation community facilities and a good library. And we would ask that the county get on board with what the community and Elmer have decided to go ahead with and work in collaboration with a downtown project. What we want to see and always have wanted to see as our particular group is a core location, moderate size and price, and a library that's going to reflect some pride in our community, be it township or town. And sure, you can go ahead and try and fit the library out here, but at what cost? And I'm not just talking about financial cost, but the cost to the community. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Motion to receive the delegation, please.
That the delegation from Kirk Behrens regarding the Elmer branch of the Elgin County Library be received as information.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Member Cook moved, Member Glinsky seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is a delegation from Cynthia Grant. Welcome.
Thank you. Mayor Shakir, co-chair, I'm gonna put on a time, so. Uh, Whoa, yeah, those are my, can you start with slide 9, which I believe is the last slide? Yeah. So, in the attachments are a very long report I developed in March and a slideshow that I had the honor of presenting in March to the county. And the town of Elmer councilors have seen some of it, so I don't want to repeat. And I'm here not only to, bring in a perspective of mine, but also from members of the public, some of whom are here tonight. This ended there, the town hall meeting called by the Express was upcoming, and I'm gonna start there in a sec. But I just want to say that as this board deliberates on the merits of moving the library out to the complex, there are many aspects of the life of the town of Aylmer and its surrounding township of Malahide that have to be taken into consideration. Kirk has covered some of them. This is first and foremost an urban planning decision. What is good for the town of Aylmer and Malahide? So I'd like to begin with comments made by a local urban planner at the April 7th forum. It's from the newspaper Follow-Up. It was Kendall Wharton, who's a local resident and municipal planner in a neighboring community. She completed her thesis project with Aylmer as her focus in 2020. In that study, she discussed what could be done to maintain the viability of the downtown because, quote, it is the downtown core that makes or breaks a small town. Her findings showed that Aylmer had managed to maintain a fairly thriving core, partly due to the presence of the library. Her considerations indicated that expanding the library into the parkette to the south of it was the best option. She also mentioned her own experience of witnessing children visiting the library on foot while working in the Malahide offices in downtown Aylmer. So some of the Malahide folks may remember Kendall. That's consistent with architects and other planners who understand the vital role of libraries. The Business Improvement Association of Aylmer has submitted to the town of Aylmer their support for the library to remain downtown. They understand it's key to retaining the health of our downtown. Could you bring up slide 6, please, on? Local resident Dorothy Ruette, who's here tonight, spoke of this point at the forum. Moving the library out here will contribute to the hollowing out of the downtown. Now that's similar to what Kendall as an urban planner was saying. I think we all have seen, because it's happened in London for different reasons, St. Thomas, that the risk is that small towns lose their downtown vibrancy. So that's why some of us have been so vocal for so long about keeping it downtown. Kirk and I grew up practically across the street from each other. We went to the Carnegie Library, and now we're back together advocating on behalf of this. Dorothy continued in her letter to the editor that it could lead to deadening with empty and shuttered storefronts and lack of sidewalk traffic. She made an eloquent call in support of Mayor Cookett's announced plan for the downtown expansion. So I actually, her letter probably was in May. She called the county horribly misguided in its ambition to move the library to the inappropriate BECC. Her voice, along with dozens of others, have been ignored in the report submitted by the county staff. The failure to include those voices is something that I'll return to. So at the first of the two public forums, there were about 150 people. And Stephen Dobbs seemed to put that a little higher, but that's okay. His submission is pretty amazing. And they indicated overwhelming support to keep the library downtown. There was really only one person who spoke very clearly against it, and many, many more spoke for it. And that was a clear message. But I want to know that the first person who stood up and spoke was Dave Mennel, the former mayor of Malahide. I'll look over here to the Malahide people. He stated that the only choice was to expand downtown. He acknowledged it wouldn't be cheap, but he had every confidence, and this is basically a Bracy, it's quoted in this issue. He had every confidence that given grants, donors, and increased lease revenues from the county, that residents would not have to endure a tax increase. Well, I trust the experience of Dave Mennel on this. Our research into cost indicated, and it's in what I wrote up, that in terms of Canadian construction costs, they have a line item associated with libraries. And based on that, the sort of plan that's possible in the downtown area, adjacent to or attached to the old town hall, would come in at about 5.5 million, perhaps a little more because of the trickiness of attaching to the building if that's what goes forward. But this is a published document that's very reputable. Builders rely on it in terms of their estimates. So, okay, let me just go forward here. I don't think I'll move it, the slide. So the significance of libraries really is, again, something that as you consider this, it can't just be about service. It can't just be about the most expeditious route. Libraries are a vital component of lifelong learning. Some of the biggest groupings to serve are seniors and children. We've talked about the accessibility issues. They're often referred to by sociologists as one of the third places. So that's a space outside of the home and work. So for some people, the hockey arena is a third space. I get that. Somebody's smiling. And I think even Mr. Michele, it's a third place for you. But libraries are for different constituents. They're vital for mental health and wellness of a community. They help people to connect, unwind, and feel part of a community, contributing to emotional well-being and a sense of belonging. One of the things I happened upon this week was a Waterloo study on suicide prevention and the relationship of libraries to that. Now, there you go. It's important that it be central, that it be accessible. At the recent Mayor's Town Hall, just a couple of weeks ago, there was a community dialogue between someone who believed for economic reasons it should move out to the EEC, and that person stated that the Thames Valley District School Board would hire a bus once a year to take kids there. But the McGregor Public School teacher, formerly, stated that grade 1, 2, and 3 each go 3 times a year on foot. They walk there. She was adamant that the library must remain accessible to schools, to children. So I'm going to move now to the submission by the Director of Community and Cultural Services. I was going to say the Honorable Brian Michele. That's because I'm about to be critical, sorry. And I do respect you. So when this was presented to the county, several of us were there, present and ready to voice our concerns about the flaws and omissions in the report. To us, it does not properly summarize the community consultation process. The omission on the coverage of the two forums really was startling. When you have 150 people who will come out for 2 hours, and then you have, what, 55 to 65 at the one hosted by the county, and you have so few voices in favor of the EECC and so many in support of downtown. That must be reflected in a report. Now, the survey results presented indicating that an EECC option was noted to be preferred by a margin is really problematic. We would vociferously dispute the I'm vociferously funny because I have to raise my voice, dispute the finding of support for the EECC based on a short survey taken by an insignificant number of people, some outside the jurisdiction. Why do I say insignificant? My brother, who holds a PhD in statistics, stated that the number of respondents is too low to be of any meaningful value. So social scientists know that, statisticians know that. The questions were not well designed and no other option of location was listed. So basically, what it indicated is people recognize the need for more space. And nobody here, I don't think, came to dispute that. We do need more space. So we were deeply alarmed that the terms of the procedures did not allow us citizens of Aylmer to make comments on this highly problematic report when it was presented. It seemed to us, and I was quoted as this, I think, somewhere, anti-democratic and another step in the railroading of the library into the ECC by the county. The railroading term, I think, really came up through John Houston, since he's the one who's spoken of it as railroading. And I would note that in today's editorial column, he mentions again the problems of the library coming out here. So,
Couple more minutes,
how many minutes?
couple.
Couple? Does that mean two? Anyways, I have to make sure that I acknowledge that the pickleball people are represented. Could you stand up, please? Bernita wanted to talk and she cannot. Their concern is they want to have recreational space kept here. They aren't the only group thinking in those terms. Kirk mentioned that we have to grow what was the initial intent with this building, to have it as a community space as well as two arenas. Just on a personal note, I want to say this and then I'll wrap up. In the report, there was a single sentence reference to my 20-page document. It just said, I talked. You know, that just seems to eliminate voice and not represent some of what's going on. It's been received, that report, but it really wasn't vetted and examined. The modest support for the relocation. Okay, I'm into my sweeping ending. And I'm actually joining with Chris Mayhew, the 30-year librarian, and it's in the early slides. Maybe go to slide 2 or 3. She's in there. So that's no, not Einstein. No, lower. Okay, 3rd or 4th. There, let's go with this one. So she talks about it as place. And her most recent thought, what is a library today? Is it just a service, as some would call it? Isn't it where a community comes together? A place that inspires and comforts, expands the mind, and encourages literacy and saves lives. Libraries are also an ideal. They uphold a free and democratic country. Think about that and ask yourself, at what cost? Do we want what is best for our community or settle for second best? Oh, look. So I was under 14 minutes.
Thank you very much. Resolution 2.
That the delegation from Cynthia Grant regarding the Elmer branch of the Elgin County Library who receives information.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Member Rocky moves. Member Oslak, second, all in favor. Motion is carried. And the next item is correspondence from Stephen Dodd. Do you want to read the resolution?
That the correspondence from Stephen Daw regarding the Elmer branch of the Elgin County Library be received as information.
Mover and seconder, please. Member Barber moves. Member Wagner seconds. All those in favor? It's carried. Okay, and this brings us then to the correspondence that we received from the county warden. And do you want to receive that first, the correspondence? I think so. We'll receive the correspondence from the warden.
That the correspondence from Warden Grant Jones entitled Request for Commitment Regarding Potential Relocation of the Elmer Library Branch of the Elgin County Library be received for information.
Okay, member seconder, please. Member DeRosa moved, member Leach second, all those in favor? Okay, and so now we will proceed to the presentation from the Director of Community and Cultural Services regarding this, the correspondence we received. Again, to remind everybody, the correspondence we just received from the warden is seeking a commitment of some form to continue conversations with the county. So it help us summarize everything that's happened and help us make that decision, express that commitment or not. Mr. Michelle, welcome.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair, and for you two members of the board. So Owen, if I click the mouse here, advance this part of me, right on. Thank you. Also want to thank you, Owen, for staying on top of the agenda with all the last minute additions and keeping us all informed today. And then my name is Brian Shelley, Director of Community and Cultural Services. I'm joined today by members of our library team. That is Natalie Marlowe, our Manager of Library Services, and Domine Denzel, our Elmer Library Supervisor. Warden Jones does send his regrets, but we have coming with us also Mr. Blaine Parkin, the CEO of the county, as well. So we're here tonight to seek a commitment based on county council's direction towards a future lease agreement for the relocation of the Elmer branch to the complex. So I'm going to work through my slides very quickly. You have the information in front of you, leave time for questions, but there are a few points I would like to address. So and just to reiterate, I hope you all have a library card. Not that you don't get a say in this, but it's gonna be nice if you got a library card. I know that the one thing about our library supporters is that you all have library cards, use library as well. So that's a good story. But Elmer is one branch of 10 in the system, and it's really important that we continue to put that lens on things. Is that as much as maybe seen as it's a town library, it is a branch within the county system, and it does serve an area that goes beyond the town of Elmer. So that catchment area is illustrated here, and that is an area that we find is comprised, of that portion that is south of College Line, and going to Port Bruce in the township of Malahide and all of the town of Elmer. So approximately 15,000 residents, if not a little more. This is a breakdown of that catchment area relative to the age distribution. And this is significant in terms of the discussion we're going to have. And I know that there was comments made about the survey that we did. But the provincial population, just so you know, and again, we're basing this on the 2021 census. But the provincial population that was 19 and under was 21.5%. Whereas in Elmer and Malahide, and reflecting these numbers, it's 28% of the catchment area. So we have a younger demographic. Matter of fact, it's 30.6 in Malahide and 26.2% based on the 2021 census. Are 19 and okay, so I just want to mention that. Cannot stress enough, though, even though Elmer is a branch of 1 of 10 in our system, that it is a very important branch. And the numbers bear that out. And I know I've said this before, and it's credit to everyone in this room. The reason why we're even having this discussion is because the asset is so well used. And it's so valued by the community. And, you know, even when I reflect back on the 2014 decision, when the downtown bill didn't occur. County council has kept it alive though, in terms of at least planning for some form of an expansion. You know, through capital funds have been made available since that time. And funds allocated towards an expansion of lease payments since that time. So county council's not closed the door on this, matter of fact, hoping that something was gonna develop. Yeah, the issues that we're having at the downtown location have been well documented. I just want to stress a couple of them. You know, no dedicated program room, no community meeting space, one public bathroom downtown. From our staff perspective, very difficult to deal with. How we identify space needs for the library are based on planning guidelines. So this isn't just something that we internally sort of, pull out our own little crystal ball. This is based on planning guidelines that we apply to arrive at space needs for a large branch category that as defined in our guidelines. And based on that, county council has endorsed space needs for the library that are approximately 10,000 square feet of assignable space to meet the identified service needs for the Elgin branch. Okay, so county council has now endorsed that what we're looking for is to meet those space needs in a future proposal for the library. We provided a rendering of what it could look like. Again, part of the discussion tonight will be a way forward on how we can update designs and costing and so on. But there was work done here in 2017 to look at a layout. This is one rendering. It's in your slides. We'll be happy to answer any questions about that as we go forward. But certainly in the course of that, I mean, a number of service needs were looked at, meeting room, study areas, all the things you would want in a large branch. So all those things were integrated into the proposed designs when it was proposed in 2017 to relocate the food branch to this facility. And I think this is really a key point. Now, we've heard a lot about optimal location for the library. But there are many examples of successful public libraries in food complexes. And in fact, you gotta ask yourself, if you had the opportunity to do this again, if we were back here in 2007, 2008, with all the issues that have unfolded, proposing to move the library as being part of this initiative certainly would have been on the table. And you have the opportunity today to actually look back and make that an opportunity. We still have the space available, and to make this feasible option. And cited a few of those examples. Not only do we have some examples in our own system, but some of the other ones across the province. I won't go through the county's leasing framework, except to answer, questions that may arise on this, but suffice, our lease establishes a standard tenant landlord relationship, paying almost $18 a square foot, which in a 10,000 square foot facility would be about $180,000 a year of annual revenue to the building owner. We did have a public open house on this matter. We were given direction by county council to engage in a public consultation process. Part of that involved the public open house, as well as a survey. And I think it comes as no surprise that opinions were divided on this matter, as they continue to be. But there is one little, one aspect of this that is significant. We received responses from both residents of the town of Elmer and Allied. And that is, again, the demographic. That those with families, respondents with children, there was a gap identified in terms of those that support the relocation to the complex. So again, mentioning those demographic statistics earlier, this is a significant trend. And we're in a hockey arena, and you have to look at, use the Gretzky analogy, where's the puck going, right? And how can we better serve our community? So a lot of the questions are going to come down to cost, feasibility, comfort with doing this. I can assure you that the renovations that we would be seeking based on what we already looked at in 2017 would be modest and slow. But we're looking to work together to update facility designs, agent and costing analysis to see what it would take to make the space library ready. So, but major items that I foresee would need to be done include the installation of carpet, or carpet tile in most areas, lighting, electrical upgrades. I don't have full estimates for all of this, but you know, for instance, an initial estimate that we did receive for flooring costs would be in the range of about $70,000, plus tax, or 10,000 square foot space, just to give you some sense of some of the costs that, you know, we're looking at this, but again, we have to have this further studied and costed out, to what would be the full extent of renovations. But we're not looking to drive major costs to facilitate, this partnership. And we're willing to look at it in phases as necessary. So as an example, there is a industrial kitchen area, that may not be fully required for library purposes, but doesn't necessarily have to be renovated all at once. So just gonna leave with some parting thoughts. And that is, you know, this is an actionable and feasible in the short term to meet the library's space and service needs in a fiscally responsible manner. And will open up new programming and service opportunities for us. We have professional staff. We're committed to making this a possible opportunity to work and thrive. So, you know, we have thought this through and what could work here. But one thing we've also thought is that the status quo is not the option. And, you know, I got to credit Deline again for really getting the ball rolling on this, for identifying the serious constraints that we were under last September at Elmer Town Council, pointing those out and getting the discussion going as we can contemplate a lease renewal at the end of 2027. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that members of the board may have.
Okay, thank you. So we'll start just with questions. So we won't debate and just do questions and answers to make sure everything is clear. And then we'll see if we can, there's a motion that we could entertain. So I'll just open it up. Is there anything that needs to be clarified from what was presented today? Member DeRosa.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's clarification, I don't know if it goes to staff, about capital costs. It is in relation to this discussion. Later on in our agenda, there is a report on capital and operational expenses for this facility. And one thing that I did note, regardless of what happens with that space, is that there is an anticipated 300,000 for capital upgrades to Imperial Hall. That's 50,000 for the hall kitchen, 100,000 for table and chairs, 20,000 for dishware, and 130,000 for partition rolls. So is our staff able to clarify if that is, in fact, what we're budgeting for the hall space, regardless of what's going there? Because if that is the case, I think it's worth noting that, again, regardless of what that space is being utilized for, whether it's 300,000 for a hall or, you know, expenses to renovate it to a library, there is cost that we are anticipating. So our staff able to confirm that?
Sure you do, Madam Chair. I can perhaps answer. So today, I think the only staff have received no direction from this board on this item at all. I believe the direction was for the co-chairs to have a discussion with the county. So the staff have not done any due diligence to look into this. So, you know, if we had a private entity come to us and ask for a lease, we would examine that. Those conversations have not happened. So we haven't done an analysis. We've been continuing on the path to address the issues, but if there are leasehold improvements, obviously we'd have to have a review of what the leasehold improvements would be. We have to peer review or the board would have to direct that work itself. And we would also need, probably some additional considerations given to return the building to the state of its current use. This isn't a municipal facility. This isn't a town expanding the library, although it's owned by two municipal partners. This board has a different purview, and we would treat it like we would any private entity coming to request a space. But those conversations, there's been zero direction from the board for us to begin those.
Right, so I can see that, and perhaps member DeRosier referring to that, even in the facility analysis, if those items that you mentioned have been flagged as needing some care and some investment. So even in I think what you're saying is that even in the status quo, if we keep the same use for the facility, we will have to invest some dollars, and so there were items, and so I agree, the board has not provided direction yet. But those have been flagged as needing attention, and I think those numbers are directly quoted, and they still appear in the package that we saw today. So that'd be fair to say that they've been flagged, something needs to be done one or another, but no decision has been made. Good question. Other questions we need to clarify? So other than the $70,000, are there other ballpark figures that?
Well, I mean, to respond to the question, Madam Chair, the other costs, I mean, the building code updates, I'm not sure if there are things like bathrooms that need to be updated. So that's one of the things we'll have to talk about. And have an analysis done on, but we're not going to be requiring substantial modifications to the space to provide the service on the space. And again, these things can be incremental. Sometimes you almost need to be in a space for a period of time to really know how you want to tailor it. That's actually probably wiser to do. So there's some things, yeah, if you're talking about knocking on a wall, you need to do that before you move in. I'm not anticipating there's much of that needs to be done. So we're talking about acoustical improvements, data drops, electrical upgrades. But I think the major issue is the flooring. And then again, some of the code updates, but that would require, again, an expert set of eyes just to kind of confirm all that. So is this a multi-million-dollar renovation required? No.
Member DeRosier.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to Brian. Looking at this plan that we currently have, I know it's not up to date, but it's the most current one we have. I see there's bookshelves, I see there's furniture, there's desks. I see things like children's areas. Is that the responsibility of the landlord of the facility, or is that supplied by the county? Can you please clarify what exactly the county provides, and then what is the responsibility of the facility?
Sure, through you, Madam Chair. So furnishings is the county's responsibility. So the building owner is responsible for making the space ready for our move-in, but the actual shelving, desks, all that kind of stuff, computers, that is the county's responsibility. So that is not at the cost of the complex. And again, go back to this placeholder the county council has had. It's been in anticipation of both on the capital side to pay for the equipment for an expansion and on the operating side to pay for the lease. We've kept that floating for 12 years. That's a real credit to this current council and past county councils, the commitment to doing something moving forward with the library. So, that commitment is very tangible, but again, to answer your question, no, it's not the building owner's responsibility to provide that equipment. And as a matter of fact, even in the current location, most of the furnishings are in one. Yeah.
Other questions? Homer Blinsky.
Madam Chair, we're talking about moving the library to the complex here. That's fine, but at what cost? One of the main things, we're taking away a community center. Secondly, we're losing recreational space for seniors and others. There are more seniors around every day than what there used to be. And you're taking space away where they could possibly go for recreation. Loss of community center facilities. For example, you will lose the ability, except for this room, to host meetings like weddings, conferences, blood donor clinics. You'll lose all that. You'll also lose the ability of having a warming center. Because you can't have a warming center in a library. Correct me if I'm wrong. Activities lost. The town has hired Susie Ray to look after bringing events into the building, and I think she's done a great job. Another thing, legal matters. Has anyone considered asking the people that donated to have this as a recreation center? Whether it's okay with them to have it now as a library? I would kind of doubt it. I haven't heard anyone mention anything about that. And I think you should look into that before you throw money at the complex here and then find out that you've got to pull it back out. Another thing is you'll lose some patrons that are at McGregor School and also Assumption. When I was at McGregor School, I saw kids from Assumption making their way towards the library. I saw our kids from McGregor going to the library, and there's no way in hell that I would send small kids from McGregor all the way over here to the complex to go to the library. It's just not safe, and I just would never sign the agreement to do that. This impulsive plan will not enhance but impair library service. Thank you.
So I think there's just to maybe move to whether there's a resolution we could consider. Do you have a draft for? I don't know if everyone can read that. And everyone has a copy, in fact. So I think the takeaway, so we know, so what we do know is the county gave direction to seek some sort of commitment. So where are we going? We also know from today that there are still unknowns, like a key unknown is the price tag. And I know this board has not had a habit of making any decision without full details on costs. So I think that's why what you see here could address both, where we could, the board could consider, if you're interested, expressing a commitment, saying, yeah, we're still interested in looking into this, but we do need to flesh out this entire proposal to up-to-date codes, up-to-date design, up-to-date prices to know what are we looking at truly. And then that, because, so I think $10,000, Brian, is your estimate of what it would likely cost to get a fully fleshed out proposal with design and costs and financing. So that would require a contribution from both member municipalities. So that's why you see also part of the resolution would be that this request go to each member municipality for endorsement. And what would be the timelines? Do you know how long it would take to develop that kind of proposal?
Madam Chair, the reasonable to expect it within 2 months. Again, part of this depends on how the work's awarded, but you know, there's previous work done, like as it was utilized and leveraged to update the current building code considerations and anything, but the designs that have been put in place would just be the case of tweaking what's already in place.
And to be clear, so that is the responsibility. So we're going to the member municipalities to fund this, because that would be the responsibility of the landlord to get this quote. I mean, obviously, so we would be directing our administrator to work with your staff to develop this proposal. But the bill is, the onus is on the municipalities to fund that, not the county, correct?
And further, just well, you mentioned about the financial aspects of financial planning and impact and everything. I mean, we would certainly as well lend our perspective on that in terms of other avenues to help finance the project that the county could assist with, or that avenues that exist. As well as the long-term leasing considerations and revenue considerations that would go along with a lease here, which generally are working in 5-year terms, so it gives you some stability to look down the road regarding the revenue projections relative to the costs that be associated with any renovation.
So if we had this in a couple of months, then perhaps that would help also with the capital budget that we do need to look at, and then also the timing would work. I'm looking at if we can make the timing, yeah.
Well, certainly if the board intends for this to be something that occurs in 2026, I do think staff would appreciate knowing now. Certainly, we do have the first budget. I know Elmer Council will finalize their budget in December. That's the intention, unless there's an appeal to the mayor's budget. But I believe we are intending to proceed with what we estimate right now. So, and I do also know that the county did just mention that they had a lease with the town of Elmer until January of 2028, I believe. So, certainly, I don't know if this is something that the board wants to examine for implementation next year or not, but it would be good to have direction. Staff will do our best to work on whatever direction the board gives us. And there's also those aspects that the board will want to consider, lease arrangements. You'll also want to consider potential staffing for the increased cleaning that will be required for this service. So there are things around it's not just straight revenue. There are more cost outcomes, higher heating, higher electricity. So we need to also do that examination for the board.
Okay, so we don't have to combine both, because this is for 2020, January 1st, 2028. So it wouldn't affect 2026 budget. So, okay. Remember on,
Just a question for you, Madam Chair, to Brian. Andy just brought up that there's gonna be a cleaning cost to the board, so that we have to pay to clean the library.
So just to clarify again, there's a lease agreement that establishes a landlord-tenant arrangement, and the cleaning schedule, snow removal, all that is part of that lease. It applies to all 10 branches in the system.
okay. So. Member Quick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Certainly, as far as the complex is concerned, this is the next logical step, was to take a look at what it would cost to renovate the complex. But we seem to be talking here as if this is the only game in town, and it's not the only game in town. Indeed, this whole discussion is supposed to be about communication. So I can tell this group that I believe that 1 week from tonight, there will be 3 completed designs for the number library for the downtown area brought before council, along with projected costs. So I'm looking at this as being maybe a waste of time for one of us. And certainly, I think the waste of time is in terms of this area. I see nothing. I don't have any great counter arguments or any other arguments to talk about in terms of where this library should go. I just know that, and with deference to what co-chair Jagers at the beginning, we all wear different hats. In fact, some of us have a closet of hats. 3 of us don't have a town hat and a county hat and a complex hat. I can't help but wear an Elmer hat right now because this issue is really not so much about the library. This issue is about Elmer, really about what kind of say that Elmer has in this whole process. Now, if you allow me a few minutes to talk about.
So what I would suggest then, member Cook, if you wanted to step down from your member role and maybe approach the podium to express your opinion briefly as wearing your hat.
Sure. I think there are three of us in this room that really deeply felt the loss of the library in 2013 when it was voted down. That was the first real iteration of this library. This is what's coming, Wilmer, next week. It's the second real iteration of the library. As I said, this whole process is really a process about how much Elmer should have to say about a library in this community. I fully understand that the county has the right to kindly determine where the library goes. After all, they are putting the bill, they're paying for it. Sort of, because really who's paying for it is the municipalities of the county of Elgin, you know, you and I and all the other municipalities. But nevertheless, they have the money to do this, so they have kind of the right. But if you look at this two-tier system, this is a system based on partnership. Partnership between the upper tier and partnership with the local municipalities. And we have had a great partnership with the library for years. This seems to be changing because of this whole thing dealing with the complex. No longer does the county say that the building has to be a municipal owned building. That was the kind of partnership part of that. It's no longer there. And in fact, you know, I could ask Brian, if the complex deal fell through and the Elmer deal fell through, would they therefore put the library in some place that has 10,000 square feet and it looks like a Soviet studio? I don't know what you would do in the case if they all fell through. But I think it's fitting back to the fact of the partnership. That partnership with the county, I'd like to maintain, but we'd like to be a part of it. We'd like to be part of deciding what happens in the town of Elmer in terms of a library building. But it's not just any old building. It's a building that deals with civic pride and all those arguments. It really makes a difference what the building looks like and where it is. Second part of the partnership is that, you know, we have a partnership with the township of Malahide right here in this building. And it's been a great, if not stormy partnership. I mean, stormy because of the cost of it. But we had a partnership. And so we kind of try to make decisions on the basis of what's good for both of us. And I'm wondering whether we have a partnership if one of the municipalities says to the other, we're going to go against what your own council has stated. But reverse the situation. Say that Elmer was voting on what's going to happen to a building in Malahide. How would you feel if Elmer decided that no, we're gonna call the shots here? You know, the partnership is not really there anymore. Just I don't think that we would do that, and I don't think that you're gonna do that. I don't think in all honesty that you really want to vote against what the town of Elmer has decided already. And so I kind of laying that out there as communication, saying, take a step back and take a look at the larger picture. It ain't just about a library. And I want it to happen. I want it to happen in Elmer. I want Brian and I to shake hands in the new library downtown. We really do want to do that. And we can do that. We really can do that. Let's not tear apart partnership with the county, tear apart a partnership with the township of Valahai over this issue.
Thank you, Mayor. Rejoin the board. So at that point, right now I'd like to see if there is a mover. For that resolution, mover and the seconder. To see if we need to debate it further, but before we go any further, and I think we've heard of the opinions and the questions, the clarification that are needed. Is there a mover to put this forward so we can continue? Member Woodner moves, member Leach, second. Any further discussion? Before the vote, member Barber.
Thank you. I'm going to stand by my previous opinion that I support the efforts that have been made by staff of the complex to increase the foot count through the doors of this facility for recreation, for cultural, for leisure purposes. And you can look at the gross number that was provided by the county of $180,000 in revenue. That's a gross amount. Take away from that particular number the loss of revenue that this facility would encounter if they can't hold, and this is mirroring Member Galinsky's comments. You're going to lose the ability to host the major tournaments. Two pads need social space. And if you don't have the social space, you won't get the major tournaments. Thinking about all the social rentals and the pickleballers and everybody else that uses the complex boardrooms for leisure purposes. That $180,000 is the gross. We really don't know what the net is, but it isn't a huge sum when you take away all of the lost revenue. The ability to for Elmer to come to a conclusion and actually move forward with a library in the chosen location is something that is near on the horizon, and the town needs the opportunity to finally put up or shut up. Now's the time. If we're not going to do it, this is the next step on this motion. If there is a hope, work with it and give the town the opportunity to put it to bed. Thank you.
Member Sorno.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm confused. My math probably isn't as good as member Barber's, but somewhere along the lines, we were looking at spending $110,000 revamping a kitchen. It brings us $30,000 a year in revenue. That's not good math to me. We want to spend $110,000 or $100,000 fixing sliding doors that don't seem to bring us a lot of revenue. Somewhere down the meeting here, we're gonna split a $334,000 deficit between the two parties, Town of Elmer and Township of Malai, because we're losing that kind of money. This is not a money-making facility. In the next 10 years, we gotta spend $10 million fixing this facility. So we're not a money-making facility here. When you look at $180,000 a year income, that's guaranteed. What's 180,000 times 10? So I'm gonna sit here, not with my Malahide hat, not with my Elmer hat, because I was a member of resident of Elgin for the last few years. Kind of coexisting between the two, and I have family in there. My daughter, my son-in-law, 5 grandkids. And so I'm gonna sit here and look at it from a financial point. And I'm thinking to build a library in town and to spend that kind of money just to say we have it, to me, the answer is here. And it's a need here and not a want. And the thing is, if you want to build uptown, you're gonna build to the south and to the west. And you're gonna hide that beautiful building. You're gonna hide it. And to me, that's like taking a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful girl, wrap her up like a mummy. And you're gonna lose all that charm and all that beautiful, historic looking thing. And what do you got? Nothing. Cause you're gonna hide it with whatever the hell they come up with. So no, to me, let's look at it from an EECC point of view. Throw the closet of hats in the garbage. And
Thank you.
EECC, thank you.
Any further comments before the vote? Member Winner and then member Leach.
Yes, thank you. Just wanted to clarify, it's gonna be $5,000 contributed by each municipality, is that correct? Or by the board? I just want to make sure we're clear on this, because we all have budgets, we have to find money, but.
That is, our terms of reference are such that the expenses from the ECC are split. 50-50 with each municipality, member municipality.
Well, it's not a voting situation, it's just gonna come out of your budgets. We're not sure, right? Okay.
The word of our terms of reference is endorse. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Right? So in our terms of reference, it also says, I believe, that if one member municipality does not endorse, the ECC cannot pursue the expenditure. Correct.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. And also, I can put my farmer hat on. And I can mirror Mr. Observations, we need to get along and, you know, do what's right for each municipality. I hope we have the same attitude when it comes to boundary adjustments, because I'm a farmer and I hate.
We'll stay on topic, thank you.
That's all right. It's done.
Member Leach.
Thank you. Madam Chair, thank you. Like we have.
I know, we're chatting my word.
I'm wondering if staff has a amount of revenue that Imperial Hall generates per annum.
Yes, Scott, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Currently, we have 25,000 in the budget. In 2024, we generated 33,000 in revenue, but I also want to clarify the $180,000, as member Barbara mentioned, would be gross revenue. So out of that would come staff, utilities. We currently pay for all the utilities at town hall for the library. The cleaning time, the additional, maintenance, just regular maintenance. So I don't know what that number is, but the feasibility would need to be done on this entirely as a separate business case. It's just not a matter of just talking about capital investment or the leasehold improvements. So in order to determine that loss of revenue, as member Belinsky mentioned about the loss of space for those big tournaments, we don't know what the impact of that is. You'd have to look at the big Elmer Minor hockey events, the big Spitfire events, the fundraiser events that happen here that require that space, to consider that in the lost revenue too, which we don't know. And I'm not saying that staff wouldn't support doing that analysis or helping with that analysis on the feasibility side, but we don't know those numbers yet. So I just want to be clear to the board that we have no idea what the revenue impacts will be.
Right. So would it be fair then to ensure that everybody's in agreement that where it says costing analysis would include the full costing, so we would not limit the costing analysis to the capital investment renovation. It sounds like that would be wise to.
Yeah. I don't know if you get that for $10,000. I don't know how much that feasibility study, the true feasibility study on this facility would be. I have no idea what that costs.
So we put, because the motion on the table is at the $10,000 price tag. We could make sure that it includes going as far as we can within that budget for costing analysis, bringing that back to the board, and then if we need more information, and then again, so we can take baby steps with a little bit more information each time, and determining before investing even more into costing analysis. Member Ron.
Through you, Madam Chair. I think if we were to spend, well, this is a quick comment, I guess. This is all, none of it really makes sense to me because we're already spending up to 250K on our Elmer side of things to figure out designs and stuff. So this all could be wasted. So in my opinion, we should be waiting until we see where we're at on the Elmer side of things. But I also think that we should know the cost analysis on everything if we're gonna even consider it as well. Because it might, gross and net are two different things. You can make $10 million, but if you're only netting 100,000. You can net 110,000 or gross 110,000 and net 100, you're still making the same in the end. So I think that all of that data should be, I know it's a waste of time, and it's a waste of money, but I think some of those should be answered before we know, because that's how we're gonna be able to make a real accurate decision on if it actually makes sense for it to go in there. I've been very supportive of it going down in there because I think it makes sense for Elmer because of the huge cost of us building the building, but if we're gonna net 80 off of it and we still make 30 in the end, we might as well. It might not make sense for it to go here, but I think we need more information on all of it in order to make an accurate decision at this stage, in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Well. Member Whitner, so one more comment.
Quick question, so we're talking about $10,000. What if it's not enough to do the analysis? So are we coming back here and asking for another 5 to 10 or 15 or it's just a bit cloudy, just like clarification, please.
I'm looking at Mr. Michelli, just because you gave us an estimate of that. How far can we make that go in terms of what I'm hearing from the board? We just need to be more informed. So how informed can we be for?
Yeah,
10,000.
through you, Madam Chair, I mean, that estimate is based on updating the work that was previously done to accommodate the library in the space. And the extended renovations that will be required. As far as, the other operational aspects relating to maintaining the space, utilities. I mean, that was not envisioned, nor was it envisioned in 2017 in terms of being a county contribution to the analysis. So, I mean, that was the scope of work that got an initial estimate on. But the rest of it is beyond the curves of what we contemplated.
Thank you for that. So there was reference from a couple of members about a proposal going to Elmer Council with a cost, I believe. Will that cost also include all operating costs, such as utilities, maintenance, just so that if we want to be informed and we're trying to compare the best investment. And we're hearing from some members that we need a full cost and not just the actual capital investment. Then it sounds like I would also want to ensure that means we're gonna have, or the board members would hear about similar information. Member Cook.
We have a very competent CEO and treasurer. I'm sure that will be part of the report. Thank you.
Okay.
We're gonna look at each other.
Yeah. In your report, just got it along. Okay, so we do have a motion on the table with the mover and seconder, and any number of clarification, opinions expressed, maybe one more, Mr. Barger.
Yeah, thank you, I'm sure. Just, quick comment, if we have a report coming out on council next week, that's gonna have some more information, and now we're looking at potentially spending $10,000 for something that might not happen until 2028. Would not make sense for these decisions, though, you see a report from Elmer Council, or go to Elmer Council, so this is what it could look like with a library expansion, and then if that's not a direction that the board, or if the board still wants to look at this option, then we'll bring it back at our next meeting and say, hey, you know, we've seen that report. Instead of, I just feel we're wasting extra money when the town's already committed to paying to have that report. So before we go, excuse me, waste $10,000. Not saying it would be a waste, I don't know, but
Right.
before we do that, can we not look and see what the report at Elmer Council is? Would that not make sense? Because again, this isn't happening next week or next year.
I'll look back to Mr. Michelle. So the request from the county, does it have a deadline for the board to respond? How much time? So in other words, if we were to just wait a little more, maybe reconvene as a board.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair, I mean, I guess the big deadline we're talking about is December 31st, 2027, when the current lease expires.
Right.
And any move that would be contemplated would require, you know, considerable time to bring the renovations through and to make the space library ready. Does a decision need to be made today? No. However, you know, time is starting to tick, and I think from, you know, our recommendation to county council would be that certainly in the course of 2026, we're gonna want to see some clarity and have a definitive commitment as to where the branch is going to be located at the end of December 31st, 2027.
Couple more comments, member DeRosa, then member Zerna.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just, as a member of this board seeking clarification, I feel personally that the governance and the discussion that we're having is getting a bit cloudy and actually out of the context. I don't think personally, when we're sitting at this table, we should be considering what other municipalities are doing. We should be keeping our focus on what is best for this facility and how we govern that. So why we're talking about meeting for what other landlords are planning on doing, because that's what the municipality is essentially, is a landlord. The county is the tenant, but we should be proceeding what's best for this facility to allow the tenant the information to make the decision. Because I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, even if Elmer builds the Taj Mahal, but there's an opportunity here, and the county as the tenant feels this facility is better fit, it is the county's decision. So through you, Madam Chair, I would seek clarification as to our governance here and as to our decision-making that we're doing tonight, and ask that maybe you or staff clarify what we should be considering and how this conversation is perhaps getting out of that purview.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for seeking that clarification. And so I will say that, so as chair, I'm entertaining those comments because it sounds like as board members, some board members are wanting to be more, to receive more information because that information may influence their vote in the best interest, even with their hat as a board member. Like this evening, for example, we've heard many opinions, and we're listening to all of those different opinions to inform our decision this evening. Depending on timing, for example, there could have been a delegation from the town of Elmer with that proposal, which would have influenced potentially some members of this board. So that's where I'm thinking, okay, are we just talking about timing? But we will bring this discussion to a close now. I think we're getting ready to at least dispose of this motion and then decide on next steps based on the vote. But I saw member Cerna, you wanted to.
I just, yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to agree with Councilor DeRoche. I think we should vote on, keep this out of the way. move on. It's been 20, I think, my friend, Mr. Barrett said they've been going at this for 20 years now. It's time to, let's keep moving, not kick the thing down, kick the can down the road. Let's vote on it and go,
Let's-
whatever happens next week happens, we can change it. Let's, God's sake, let's move on.
We can multitask, right? We can
Yes.
have several things happen. But I hear, and but I do hear the people being conscientious of not wasting time or money. But so that's
We haven't spent any money yet, we're just making a motion.
correct.
Thank you.
So may I have the
Where'd go?
recorded vote? So let's call the vote.
Member Oslich. Member Disrosier.
Yes.
Member Barber. No. Member Rahay.
Yes.
Member Beach.
Yes.
Member Wilson. Yes. Member Cerna.
Yes.
Member Lewis.
Yes.
Member Galinsky.
No.
Member Deputy Mayor Barber.
No.
Member Deputy Mayor Whitmer.
Yes.
Co-chair Mayor Cookit
No.
and co-chair Mayor Shiger.
Yes.
So the vote is carried 7-5.
Thank you. Thank you for an excellent discussion, to be continued. Does the board want to recess for just 5 minutes? We'll resume the rest of the agenda, 5 minutes, thank you.
I didn't go.
You don't know how to. But from the ice, not from the.
Yeah, well,
I got a real project. Nice, Chester.
yeah.
Every middle school.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not.
We're not, we can't. Ballast on our operating costs.
Yeah. Those would be the buildings that we basically.
I mean, it's up to council also.
Well,
This one started an hour earlier than us.
Was it 7?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did it start at 7?
Yeah, nothing.
You sleep, I still have.
We could.
There it is. We're up and running, perfect. Okay, so next on the agenda, approval of the minutes. We have the minutes from our June 11th meeting. Any errors or omissions?
Now the board approves the minutes of the June 11th, 2025 meeting of the East Elgin Community Complex Board.
Mover and seconder, member Barber, member DeRosier, all those in favor? Motion is carried. We move to section 6 as action items. The first is of the staff reports. It's an update on the arcade style games expression of interest results.
Thank you through you, Madam Chair, to members of the board. Purpose of this report tonight is to update the board on the results of the expression of interest process for the arcade style games at the EECC. So the trial period, as outlined by the board, was September 3rd to December 3rd, 2025, as directed earlier this year. At the February 26th meeting, a draft EOI was brought forward in May and staff were authorized to advertise. It was posted the 21st of May and closed June 30th with promotion through the EECC website and social media. 2 proposals you'll see within the report were received from BLVD Entertainment Incorporated and Vending Canada. Both were reviewed and reference checked. No irregularities were found. Vending Canada Incorporated was selected. Their submission was more robust. It was noted that BLVD really didn't indicate, it was a pretty brief submission, didn't indicate any liability or risk associated to the EECC. And this also promoted the ability to have machines operational by the start of the hockey season and meet the terms of that trial period that the board had expressed they were interested in. Let's see here. The financial impact is that there's minimal impact to the EECC operations. There's hydro and cleaning. Revenue share, as noted in the report, was could be projected. It was loosely projected to be about $2,000 a month gross with 33% to the EECC. I can provide a brief update. Vending Canada has performed a collection on October 4th, so that's about a month's projection. The fall sports season started up. That offered a $390 return to the EECC based on the machines that are down there currently. So that's $390 of passive income received within 4 weeks. So then the next steps is the arcade is now operational for the trial period and staff are happy to bring back a follow-up report to the board, either at the conclusion of the trial to evaluate the performance to determine whether we continue the program through to the end of the user group season. So I would say through till the end of April, start of May, or then issue an more robust RFP for a longer term contract. So, and again, I'd encourage members, board members to visit the arcade area during the trial period and provide feedback and direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Anything that needs to be clarified? Member Leach?
Thank you, Chairperson. How have people who've come to the complex found their experience with them? Have you heard any chatter?
For you, Madam Chair, to Member Leach. They've been well used. There's lots of little feet that are running to the machines quite often, and I'm sure a lot of parents digging in their pockets for coins by the return that we've been receiving. We did proactively address some issues that the board had wanted addressed. So we turned the volume off on the machines. They were installed with some chasing lights that we spoke to Vending Canada about. They addressed right away and made them static, turned them down a wee bit. So yeah, they've been received fairly well. We haven't had any issues with lost money, machines eating coins and whatnot. We've had signs posted for communication with folks. So overall, it's been fairly positive.
Thanks.
Any further questions? Member Whitner?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I see the comment about hydro and staff attention. Hydro, there's no separate meter and no consumption meters or anything like that, so we really
No. No, it's, sorry, through you, Madam Chair, to, Member Whitner. And it's not in a separate meter. It would just be incidental usage of the utilities that are existing.
Thank you.
So it'll be sufficient then to receive a report at the end of the pilot period so that we make a decision on continuing? That works for everybody? Okay. Okay, so for now, let's receive the report. The motion, please.
That report EACC 13-25 entitled Arcade Style Games Expression of Interest Results be received for information.
Mover and seconder, please. Member Shina move, member Whitner seconds. All those in favor? It's carried. Next report is regarding the handrail project. Do you go back to you?
Yes, through you, Madam Chair, to the board. So the purpose tonight of this report is to update on the RFQ results, for handrail installation in East Lincoln Kinsman Arenas. The report does recommend not awarding at this time and deferring the project to the 2026 capital budget. So again, the board had identified handrails as a priority accessibility improvement, and the RFP was rescoped in early 2025 to specify stainless steel material. And list that Eastlink was required, Kinsman was a provisional item. This was issued per board direction to meet Ontario Building Code and AODA standards. The RFQ results are that 3 contractors attended the site meeting. Out of that, 1 compliant bid was received due to irregularities in the other bids that were received. So within your report, the award or the bid to consider is from Advanced Stainless, Eastlink Arena. You'll see is proposed for $25,020 plus HST, and Kinsman being a provisional option at $22,956. Staff analyzing the process and the bids feel that there's limited competition, there's no comparative value. The persistent bid irregularities have been consistent through multiple attempts at getting the very worthy project completed. The project isn't included in the 2025 capital plan, and the cost presented tonight exceeds what could be undertaken in the operational budget. This work truly qualifies as a capital improvement on operational expense. Earlier estimates that we got about $6,500 excluded design and installation, so there would have been an additional cost with that as well. His support to that is a property condition assessment schedules the handrails for 2029. So advancing that would be off cycle. Both municipal councils would need capital approval for that. So the recommendation is really to receive a report for information, defer the handrail installation to the 2026 capital budget to allow for proper funding and retendering. And staff truly support improving accessibility and spectator safety in the building. I just suggest deferral ensures better pricing, full budget alignment, and coordinated capital planning.
So the direction of the recommendation is to move to capital expense in 2026.
That's right, through Madam Chair, to not award and defer to the 2026 capital.
And if we don't award this, then we need to call for quotes again.
Yes, we would, yeah.
Questions? Member Lynch?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can you talk about what the inconsistencies in the submissions were?
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair, to Member Leach. Absolutely, and I'm glad that you asked the question, actually. As us trying to get these projects done, we're excited to keep them moving ahead. Hopefully, as illustrated by the other capital projects and operational things we're trying to accomplish here. They're honestly administrative issues where bids are arriving late. Bid deposits are being included as per the contract. So perhaps in a situation like this, it would be working within a procurement policy, getting 3 quotes and getting the job done. Perhaps the process of the RFQ was an issue, even though it was staff felt a very straightforward submission. There were still those those administrative pieces that made it impossible to evaluate some probably very worthy submissions.
So they were incomplete, left it for,
Couldn't be evaluated, arrived past the deadline, or were,
Member Barber.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The board has previously thought that this was a very desirable project and understanding it came way over what the initial estimate were. Would it be reasonable or feasible to split it? Half this year and half next year, at least get it down into the $25,000 range. And at least get it done.
I don't know, do you want to comment first and then I'll go to member Whitner?
if I may, Madam Chair, through you, the way that the award is currently before you is that, Kinsman Arena is a provisional item, so you do have the option to do just Eastlink, which was a priority item, and that was about $25,000, which would then the board could decide to defer, Kinsman Arena if you wish.
Member Whitner?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I just have a question. How many railings are we talking about in each side? Is it? I don't know.
Yeah,
Bottom on it, it's like, oh,
No, that's right. 3, Madam Chair. Thank you for the question. It's 4 sets of railings in Eastlink and 4 in Kinsman.
4 sets, so
Yeah, four runs.
4 in total on each side.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with. It'd be nice to get something done because it has to be done.
Member Lynch?
Thank you, Madam Chair. What is the risk of putting it off in terms of our whole political climate, tariff situation? Were the, not that you can directly speak to it, but were the inconsistent submissions in your thinking warranting us delaying, or is it better to go ahead with the Eastlink Arena at this time, in your opinion?
Sure, through you, Madam Chair, to Member Leach. Yeah, I've outlined staff's opinion in the report, and that would be to defer to proper capital. I wish I think it'd be crystal ball moment if I could tell you what's gonna happen with tariffs. I know that we do have some contractors looking to build the tariff clause into contracts, because of the unknown, not wanting to, quote, and then their products are that much, coming that much higher. There could also be a risk not deferring this and lumping it in with a larger project where we could get more value if we were quoting all of the handrails in the arena, or putting it deferring it to a capital project later.
So that if we lumped it in with something else, that would mean postponing it to 2029, given our current schedule. And my other question was, I'll have to think about it, I'm sorry.
Member Coogan?
I think it's a lot of money, but now that we've discussed the issue, we've acknowledged that there is a risk. Therefore, we're taking the risk by not doing it. We should do it.
Member Rosie?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would also agree with Member Barber that I think I'm not in favor of deferring the item, especially for that long. I think, as Member Coogan has said, we've identified the risk, we've identified the potential liability. Therefore, it would be irresponsible for us to defer it further down. I say it is a good idea to perhaps look at the priority handrail and then maybe defer one of the other ones for future capital here.
So I think I'm hearing consensus, so that would be, we could go with the original plan of putting in the operational budget for 2025. With one set, and then move the other into capital for 2026. Is that where we're going?
Right, through you, Madam Chair, just for clarification, we would then award Kinsman Arena. With then deferring the handrails, or sorry, award East Lake Arena and deferring the handrails in Kinsman Arena.
Right.
So we would be awarding $25,000.
We would still have to send, this wasn't included in the 2025 capital or operational budgets. We still would need to, after, if the board decides to award, it needs to go to the member municipalities for approval.
And in terms of timing of actually having the work done, is it worth pushing that for 2025? Or if we're going to move it to 2026, it will make a difference?
I would have to discuss the schedule with the contractor.
Did I see your hand before?
I did, obviously, we're dealing with a motion pending. If that motion were defeated, I would like to make a motion that we proceed with one.
We haven't tabled it yet.
Okay.
So that's why I wanted
Oh, it
to hear
hasn't
that.
ripped yet.
That's right. So I wanted to hear all the questions first, because I had a feeling that, yeah, so we could see where the kind of discussion is going. And listen.
Yeah, sure. There's sometimes that there's stuff that I would like to be stainless, but when it comes in 4 times more expensive than steel and some paint. Does it have to be stainless? Like, is that just code, or are there options that way?
Susan?
Through you, Madam Chair, that was based on direction of the board in February. That was that preferred material chosen.
I guess maybe member Wilson's like, well, if we hadn't known the price of it. I wonder if the board wants to reconsider the want versus the need. Any comments?
Do the entire project for half the price of one of them in stainless, if it was painted steel, like.
Powder coated,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like. Because what I'm hearing is the priority is the safety and perhaps sacrifice a bit of that ideal durability and. Member Rocky, member Whitnall?
Through you, Madam Chair, is it too late to change the material now? Or is that still not, like, could we still change it? Cause I agree with that, Member Wilson for sure.
Yeah.
And I agree with it, it does need to happen because it is a safety issue that we have brought up, but is it too late because we've already put it out there? And if it isn't, then.
I think the challenge is, would that be an appropriate change of scope to what we issued? Potentially, it would be a one, but I do think as well, what we were considering was given that there wasn't a lot of participation in this, that a quotation process, getting 3 quotes might actually be a better outcome for costs. But we can't do that. You need to award or significantly change the scope. And if we go and redo the procurement process, that'll put us into 2026 anyways.
Member Whitnall?
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I mean, it'd be nice to get the whole thing done at a lot less cost, and stainless is it's a nice block, but is it a need? We could do it out of steel or maybe aluminum or whatever. It'd be nice to get the whole thing done, but I guess we can't do that because we've asked for stainless. It's either stainless or nothing. Is that the way I'm reading it?
Through you, Madam Chair, for consideration of this award, yes.
So we could choose not to award and then seek 3 quotes. For different material, different specs.
For the 2026 budget, and once the budget's approved, we would expedite getting that done.
We're only 3 months from 2026.
Let's see.
Is there would somebody like to suggest a motion? We'll hear Member Klinsky's comments and then maybe think of what you would like to suggest.
My only comment would be a question, how much difference is there in cost between the stainless steel and the painted steel? It's a double.
Sorry, through you, Madam Chair. I'm not in the business, so I wouldn't hazard a guess, but I know we've asked for the Cadillac version, so I would anticipate lower costs, yeah.
Follow up?
My suggestion would be to defer and put out a new tender for painted steel. On cheap.
So specifically then, the motion would read, do you want to suggest something that we basically, we weren't deferring, we would basically not award this contract and then seek quotes or different,
That essentially is the sum of that is the staff recommendation.
okay,
You want me to read that?
sure.
That report ECC 14-25 entitled Handrail Project Award be received for information. And that the project not be awarded and the handrails in the spectator seating of East Link and Kinsman Arenas be deferred and included as a project in the 2026 capital budget.
Do we need to add direction to go ahead right away to seek quotes as opposed to waiting for the budget process and you know, what I mean, like the budget endorsement process and all of that, so this particular item can continue to move as per previous direction?
You could, the board could pre-approve it as a capital budget item. We'd still have to send that to both municipal councils, but we could definitely do that.
Right, okay. So I think I've seen so if you want, I don't know if you need to add if that's enough direction to expedite this particular item.
Like I would add to the resolution that the resolution be forwarded to the council of the town of Elmer and the township of Malahide. For expedited endorsements as a part of the 2026 budget.
But at an amount of 25,000
At an amount of 25,000
each,
Didn't you say you're gonna award Eastlink and Kinsman? Both.
50,000
Yeah.
in the budget, and then we'll get that approved by both member councils. And then,
Right, but what I'm hearing is we don't want to spend that much, we want to re-quote for,
Only one?
no, for different material,
so yeah, sorry. 30?
Yeah.
30,000?
So we want to put an estimate, so at least you have something
So we'll
to,
try to come in under that estimate.
for both. So it would be 30 for both, yeah, okay.
You wanna see what the difference is, steel, aluminum, while we're figuring out what stuff costs. I don't know.
And we vote on both.
Oh, I see, so yeah, so request a quote on both,
They're the experts, let them come up with
yeah. Okay,
Through you, Madam Chair, just to seek clarification for staff in building that, so powder coated steel and powder coated aluminum, is that what we're looking for?
Aluminum, 85.
Is powder coated steel or aluminum?
Aluminum,
Okay.
fine.
Okay,
Or even regular steel, we can paint it pretty cheap here.
okay, that's fair.
yeah. Okay. You have a mover and seconder. Member Barber moves, member Lee seconds. All those in favor? Okay. The next item is the end of the day celebrations. This one is just for information. Everybody's had a chance to review the report, so we'll proceed with the resolution.
That report ECC 15-25 entitled 2025 Canada Day Celebrations be received for information.
Mover and seconder. Member Serna moves, member Lewis seconds. Any questions or comments? Before the vote, member DeRosier?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, seeking more clarification on two of those budget items. I did forward that question in advance, so that way the staff will be prepared. Just seeking a breakdown of it's almost 5,000 for family entertainment. And then the 1,200 for music, live music. Are we able to get a breakdown of what those two were?
Through you, Madam Chair, to member DeRosier, thank you for that question. And there is an update to that family friendly entertainment line item in there. There was an invoice that was accounted for twice. So that $4,800 actual should be $4,300. So a breakdown in that, that covered Dotsy's Entertainment with face painting and balloon twisting. So that's $2,500 of that. which had a long line, was really well received. Peter Many is a children's interactive entertainment, and that was $900 for that. And we also had a petting zoo and educational display, which was $900, so that rounds out the $4,300 there. When we talked about the $1,200 for music, that includes the local musicians. We had Josh Cadet and local musicians for live music, so that sound system and performances as well. Just making sure that doesn't include the photo booth. That's separate. Yeah.
I'm sorry, just for clarification, so that musical entertainment for 12, was that all day or how long was that music happening for?
Through you, Chair to Member Droge, that was for the event. The event ran from 4 till 9, so during that.
Sorry, one more follow-up. I know these are like fairly low numbers in consideration for our budgets, but does the staff gather competitive quotes for some of these services? Or is it just we tender the same providers every single year?
Through you, Madam Chair, sorry. Like to say it's getting late. It's Member DeRoche. Staff are always looking for different opportunities. Being at July 1st, quite often these entertainers book up quickly, so we plan well in advance, but we're always looking for new options to make the budget stretch further, but still providing quality entertainment. So certainly welcome feedback from any members who have ideas or resources or contacts. We're always looking to increase our inventory of that outreach. We've had great success with our musical entertainment in the past, and staff have been representing this event for the town and the township since 2004. And that's always been a component. So yeah, to answer your question, yes, we do try to get the most bang for our buck.
Satisfied then, yeah. Is there an underlying concern that it seems that you would like to see staff look for better prices, or that you think there's more competitive?
Yes and no, like I think staff are doing their due diligence by all means, but from hosting an event recently in the community, I'm all for spending $5,000 on family entertainment. I think it's great. It's great to give those services to our families and to the children in this community. But the amount that's being spent and what we're seeing from it, I think could, with competitive pricing, like Dotsey's, for example, for 2,500 for 5 hours, like that is insane. And I know like what we paid for the festival versus what was paid here for the same amount of time is a bit shocking. So with those resources that I have, I will definitely pass them on to staff in hopes of making better use of that money for the following year. And so we get more activities for the families.
For the same budget, perhaps.
Yeah, just
even more.
stretching it, right?
Okay, perfect. Yes, if you can pass along that information, that would be good. Thank you. So, Member Lynch?
Through you, Madam Chair, I would like to thank staff on both Aylmer and Malahide for collaborating to generate the grant that we received.
Thank you for that. Are we applying again? So I'm assuming
November.
November, yeah, perfect. Okay, so we do have a mover and seconder. If there are no further comments, all those in favor? Motion is carried. Next item is the tender award for the metal roof repair. So this one, they're just hot off the press.
Yeah.
So that's why it cannot be completed in advance, but you have it as a printout with the amounts. Just proceed with the resolution.
That report ECC 16-25 entitled Tender Award East Elgin Community Complex Metal Roof Repairs be received for information. And that the board accept the low bid submitted by Trio Roofing Systems in the amount of $108,320, excluding HST, for the restoration of all seams and projections on the sloped roof system as outlined in the Garland, Canada Incorporated Roof Report and in accordance with the tender documents. And that the board authorize the mayor and clerk of the town of Elmer to execute the documents.
Mover and seconder. Member Stern, move. Member Glinsky seconds. Anything that staff want to highlight or any clarification questions, comments from members? Member Whitner?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to know exactly what we're getting for $100 and some odd thousand for steel roof, but just go down the screws. I don't understand what's gonna be done, so maybe that could be clarified. Thank you.
Through you, Madam Chair, to Member Widner. It's all outlined in the scope which was presented to the board through the Garland roof assessment. So basically, it's resealing all the metal seams. So re-riveting using a specific elastometric synthetic rubber sealant. It's a proprietary sealant that'll help waterproof and isolate and areas that water could penetrate on the metal roof, really increasing the lifespan. So the material on the roof is fine. With these budgeted repairs that were identified in the property condition assessment to come in at about 120 to 130 grand. I think it reflects Garland's report and the scope that they put into those seam joint repairs. That they were on point and actually coming under budget. So that was quite nice to see. I did go back and review the scope of it earlier today too, because I'm not a roofing expert, but I trusted the scope and the work that needed to be done. So not replacing materials, just joints and seals.
Just know by looking at it, if someone's screwed, they retighten or replace.
Through you, Madam Chair, they're looking to be both, I guess, once they get on the roof and identify, but it's mostly just refastening. Once they're, if it's in a good position.
Yeah, I'm just not sure what that means, but
Yeah.
I was up there and looked at it myself, so I just
Yeah.
want to clarify. I did look at it. A lot of times you don't just. Thank you.
Yeah,
You're right,
that's-
yeah, but I'm also.
And through you, Madam Chair, that's written right in, is tightening up. Screws, checking them and ratcheting them.
As opposed to replacement throughout, okay. Member Serna?
Just a comment, Susie said she's not an expert roofer, but there's an like. Thank you.
Any further questions?
That's all.
All those in favor? Motion was carried. The next report is the Athletic Awards of Excellence nomination. The resolution.
As report ECC 17-25 entitled ECC Award, Athletic Awards of Excellence be received as information. And that the board approve the nominations for the ECC Athletic Excellence Awards as presented, and that the recipients be invited to the next practical board meeting for presentation of their awards.
Mover and seconder, please. Member Lynch moves. Member Barber second. Questions or comments?
I have one, Madam Chair, just through you, just to update the board, since this report was published, the folks at the Horseshoe organization have provided 5 other athletes to include in recognition, so they fit the bill, they meet the criteria, so you'd see them invited as well.
Any further comments or questions? All those in favor? Oh, one moment.
It's nice to see that the horseshoe pits are being used so well.
Yes. So all those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you for putting this new policy into action right away. The next report, user fees, 2026. Resolution, please.
That report ECC 18-25 entitled 2026 user fees be received for information. And that staff present the finalized 2026 user fees at a future meeting of the board for adoption. And that notice of the EECC's board intention to adopt user fees for the 2026 season be posted on the EEC website in advance of the meeting.
Mover and seconder. Councilor Leach moves, Member Leach moves, Member Wilson seconds. Any further clarification from staff or comments, questions from members? None. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, the next item is the operational and capital budgets, and I think for this, we're modifying the recommendation that, so certainly this evening, we could, if you have questions, you want to seek clarification, we can raise any questions you have this evening, and then, but the actual presentation of the budget will be at a future meeting.
Public meeting.
The public meeting as per our terms of reference. So we'll open it up. So for this evening, the resolution would be to. Let's read it, yes. Would you paraphrase it?
That report CAO 41-25 entitled East Elgin Community Complex, we received information. And that the proposed 2026 operating and capital budgets be referred to a future meeting of the EDCC board to follow a public meeting on the budgets.
Okay, so mover and seconder. Member Surnow moves, member Ronnie seconds. I'll open it up for questions, so things that you want to bring forward now that either can be answered tonight or brought at the future meeting, we'll consider the full budget. Member DeRosier.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just seeking clarification through you to staff. One of the line items on the capital budget is the EECC superstructure support framing. It's slated for 2026 for 51,000 and then future years as well. Can we get an explanation on that capital expense?
Certainly. Anyone prepared to?
Certainly I'll start and then, so that is essentially the steel structures inside the building have rust that is beginning to show due to condensation. So it's to address the structure itself, but also the aesthetics of the inside of the building. Did I cover that off right?
I think so. I'm just double checking with our, so it would include some flooring and some support framing as outlined in the building condition assessment. Roof structural framing, columns, beam, other structural framing components that are visible at the arenas. Overall condition of the framing was fair to good, so that's the superstructure includes both floor and support framing.
Follow-up, is that required for structural purposes or more aesthetics? Because I think I just have more concerns with the necessity of it.
I think when we had the discussion, we pulled out, when we worked on this budget, we pulled out a lot of the aesthetics stuff about the outside because the parking lot had been done. So we said, let's defer the replacement, the work on the outside masonry. Let's defer the work on the doors and windows. And let's focus on having people be able to come into the facility and see that it's actually improving and looking better. So that's why the focus was on things like this, the dressing rooms, completing the heaters from that were approved in the 2025 budget, which we're working on. But certainly their condition's fairly good. It is work that needs to be done and was supposed to be now, but certainly there is a structural component, but the structure will be fine if they're left for another year.
I can just add to that, add to Andy's comment too, that the recommendations within the building condition assessment call for a phased allowance and really do speak to water damage, surface damage. That corrosion could lead to deterioration of the superstructure, so that coating helps protect that.
So extend
the life of the superstructure.
Member Woodner.
Yes, thank you. Just have a question. On a previous tour, we were showing there's just some rust around the bottom or most of the floor. Is that what we're looking at?
Those types of areas, yes.
That not be paid in-house? I mean, this is a lot of money and we don't do anything like that. I'm just asking the question.
Through you, Madam Chair, I wouldn't claim to be an expert in that, but I can take it away and come back with some information if you like.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think since we will be reviewing this at a future meeting, so today it's a good good opportunity to raise those questions and then have them answered a little bit later. Further comment or questions? Member Rosie.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The other question I have is also regarding a line item for next year, which is the EECC dressing rooms and lockers. It's almost 300,000, it's 260,000. I know when we did our tours, there were things like, you know, plumbing fixtures that were dated and some were damaged. Mirrors, what else does that cost entail, like roughly?
I can, through you, Madam Chair, to Member Derogier. So that has a lot to do with skate tile. So if you've been in the dressing room, you'll notice that it's bubbling, it's peeling. It needs to be taken up and replaced. Again, there's a lot of fixtures, painting, benches. That's all outlined in the building condition assessment as well. And yeah, there was a fairly aggressive, I think it accounted for 17 locker rooms, dressing rooms. Yeah, flooring fixtures and finishes honestly account for that.
If I may, do you know roughly, and I'm testing your memory now, how much of that item is, like, how much, what percentage is the skate tile, like the flooring?
I couldn't speak to that tonight, Member Derogier, but I can certainly bring that back.
So we could have an addendum for that particular, because it is such a big ticket item and it has multiple components, so maybe a bit more of a breakdown and a refresher of the and now the facility assessment recommendation that would be very helpful to add some context. So good point. One question I had was that some of the increases, so yes, there's general increases in operations and wages. But it seemed like the brunt of that increase then was simply an increase in municipal contribution. And I was wondering, because you're going to be looking at fees as well, like, is there a way to spread out that the overall increased operational cost with a bit of the general tax levy, which everybody pitches in? Maybe the users also have to pitch in and maybe like sharing that so that we're not automatically putting the entire operational increases to the general potentially non-users. And so I think we need to share, but I thought I was looking for maybe other revenue, like should we be more aggressive on the advertising, on programming? So to take that total increase of 30,000, I think difference, and trying to spread that out a little bit. And again, not an answer for, that doesn't need to be answered tonight, but something maybe to be considered unless you have comments immediately.
Oh, yeah, I can comment on it immediately, but we can take, we can look at that. The municipal contributions we reduced back when, like through COVID. So that line is already budgeted, I believe, in Malahide and in Elmers. We're just budgeting now that revenue because that's youth subsidy. So the youth subsidy, is kind of all over the place, but now consistently the youth subsidy line item is coming in at around 60 to 65,000 coming in from each municipality. So that's purely freeing up the budget on that.
Oh, okay.
As far as the other revenues, we didn't touch that, pending the user fee update, because we don't know if any user fee will drive an issue with the revenue on that side. So what we've done historically is, and Susie may want to change this, but what we've done historically is when we changed the user fees, we've then looked at a full year's worth of revenue and then adjusted the user fees accordingly. So a lot of those buckets up and down are truing up again from the prior budget adjustment. So those are definitely moving targets. And they've constantly changed. If you look budget to actual for the last 5 years, they're constantly going up and down, and we're trying to chase that number. So I'm afraid to change the revenue line to overshoot the revenue, especially when we're doing a year of user fee adjustments, potentially.
Okay.
So,
well, thanks for that clarification, because it just looked like it was immediately absorbed.
Yeah.
By the larger tax base. Any further comments? Member Lynch?
Through you, Madam Chair, to staff. I know that we've gotten grants for other things before, but is with the total Canada and Ontario grants on page 299. Is there some capacity for that amount to increase in terms of grant revenue? And the question I forgot was, is there some capacity for the handrails to fit into some grant?
Accessibility.
Yes.
And,
I can take the first part of that question. So the Canada Day grant is the only one currently we budget. We just increased it for the increase that we actually received last year. Hopefully we get that amount, like a similar amount. We don't have access that I know of to any other operating grants. I'm sure there's accessibility grants out there. I don't know if this will qualify. I have no idea about that, but we're constantly looking at grants from the administration side, so you know, it would be a bonus at this point if we got a grant for any stuff.
In terms of the handrails too, I think we. In order to apply for a grant, I think we wouldn't use it. Well, it depends on the cost, I guess, but usually you'd have to go through a full procurement where we're anticipating to get 3 quotes to lower the cost. So usually you have to pick one stream or the other. And that roof grant that we got, we were very fortunate. I know when we talked to the ministry at AMO, there was over $1 billion of requests for 250 million. So we were one of the few areas to get it. Many other area municipalities weren't successful in it, so.
I do thank you for your work in the grant area.
Oh.
Just always.
These two.
Keep trying, and, yeah, word on the street is there may be more investments. I think there was a report earlier this week from the Association of Recreation and Facilities Manager about the backlog of $10 billion across the province. And I did hear that the province was looking at perhaps reprioritizing. And so, yes, and I know you have your finger on the pulse on that, but I think there may be more grants coming and some recognition on that province-wide backlog. So let's stay on top of that. Okay, thank you. So, and if any other, I know it's late, so if any other questions or like please forward any question, clarifications, things that you would like broken down or presented differently or be considered over the next few weeks, please send that to staff so that I will be incorporated in the next presentation of the budget. Still there no further questions then? All those in favor? The motion is carried. Any notice of motion? Seeing none. Inquiries by members? Bleach?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Coming in this evening at the eastern automatic door on the inside, there's a cracked and missing tile. Is there any action to like fill that hole?
Bit of a hazard, yeah, okay.
Through you, Madam Chair, Elmer Flooring is coming next week.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Any further inquiries? Seeing none, we don't have any closed session items, so we are ready for adjournment and do we have the date of the next meeting?
Looking at November 12th.
Okay, so we're looking at November 12th. Do you want to move on that this evening to include it as part of the resolution, or do you want to leave some?
You can leave it open and also.
Okay, so date to be determined, but and around November 12th. So we'll entertain an adjournment resolution then.
The board now adjourned at 9:39 p.m. for.
Member Whitner moved, member Cerna second. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you so much. All done.
Yeah, I think it's like a month.
I think you have to get on the strong one there. If I did that, I would go back on the tree. Strong bear. Yeah, however, I'll. Yes, I like. Yeah. Yeah, we're next one, December. The county state.